Hello guys, Damien Jones here again for you today. It's been a long time, I know. I've been just so busy with one thing or another, so I decided to do another video today, some 3 weeks later. But it's better late than never, and I've got some really good videos coming up. And today we're going to be starting with these. These babies. I've got a big comic book haul to share with you today. We'll start off with the annuals that I've recently picked up. We've got the first one is a bit of an anomaly for me. It's a lovely hardback annual of Tales from the Crypt. As you can see, it is absolutely gorgeous, and I didn't pay very much for this actually. I only paid about £1.50 for it. But if we just scan on through, maybe you'll see the blunder. You seen it yet? I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a lovely book by any stretch of the imagination, but can you not tell yet? It's all in French. How absolutely sodded typical is that? We've got an absolute beautiful gem of Tales from the Crypt stories like this, with all this kind of lovely retro marvellousness, and it's all in bloody French. But nonetheless, it's a very nice book, and to be quite honest with you, I can pretty much follow the stories just by looking at the pictures anyway, because I'm familiar with most of the Tales from the Crypt. They're all in there, all your favourites. And nonetheless, I'm very nice, although slightly French, Tales from the Crypt. Hardback as well. Don't get that. I got this limp cover, Vaults of Horror, which I'm really pleased with, as it's in English, which does help, believe it or not, seeing as I don't speak a word of French. It's volume 3 of the Vaults of Horror. I believe it's a Canadian one, if this will focus. Yeah, it is a Canadian one. Issues 11 to 15 complete, and the stories are: in this issue, the old witch reveals the startling rediscovery of the authentic Frankenstein monster. Getting a bit of glare off that cover. And the beauty about this is, other than it actually being in English, which helps, is that it's actually in full colour, which is very rare for a retro comic anyway, considering these are from the 1950s. It's nice to see for this reprint anyway that they bothered to colour it. All very good. Some others on the back that you can get. I mean, usually these things, they cost about 10 quid, you know, to have shipped over from Canada or America or whatever, but I was lucky enough to get this one for only £14.99, and the postage was free, and that's my first Vault of Horror as well, so I'm really pleased with that one. Those are the annuals that I've picked up. I've picked up some genuine vintage comics. I'll just get them ready. I absolutely love Conan the Barbarian, and I've been lucky enough to find an issue 1 of the Marvel Digest series, which is the pocketbook sized Conan's, or whatever it is. So I've got an issue 1, which I'm absolutely chuffed with. I have issue 1 in the regular A4 size as well, but it's not here to show you. This is just my recent comic book haul, really. Let's see if I can hold the camera and have a flick through the pages as well. As you can see, with the genuine vintage comics, they're all in black and white. But again, that is in lovely condition. Issue 1. I also have, would you credit it, issue 2. Lovely cover work, artwork, isn't it? I also have issue 3, and the story in issue 3 is In the Coils of the Man Serpents. Ooh, very phallic, eh? Yeah, as I say, I absolutely love the Conan the Barbarian comics. I've been collecting these things since, I don't know, since the late 80s basically, but I have an awful lot of the earlier ones. They sort of started, Marvel sort of started them in the late 60s. They basically took the concept of Robert E. Howard's novels and turned them into comic form, and it was an instant hit. And that's how I come across them, through reading the comics. That's how I was introduced to the character, and he became my sort of hero, if you will. Well, one of, anyway. In addition to issues 1, 2 and 3 of Conan the Barbarian, I also got a number 6. Issue number 6. And this one is Conan and Elric battle side by side against the Hell Hordes of Chaos. They look like they've got the work cut out there. I also noticed that, yeah, I mean, these date from the early 1980s. I noticed something. Originally, these are from about 1980, these sized ones. Originally, this will have been 1960s, late 1960s, if I remember correctly, from my other collection. But originally, they were only costing 15p, these pocketbook sized Conans. But I noticed issue number 3 shot up to 30 pence. And then issue 6 plummets back down to 18 pence. I don't know what kind of pocket money you got as a kid, but I couldn't have gone as far as 30 pence. I only used to get 50 pence a week. And also, I went and got an issue number 8, which is the story Hawks of the Sea. Sword versus sorcery in a timeless time. Doesn't that guy in the background look like Skeletor? Excellent. They're obviously skeleton warriors, and Conan's going to smash them to pieces with that ball and chain there. And basically those are all the recent Conan the Barbarian comics that I went and found, but I had more luck getting hold of some horror comic books as well. I went and got issue number 3. See, it's a nice early issue. Issue number 3 of Chiller. Now, what Chiller used to be was basically, obviously, a pocketbook sized comic, And what they do is Marvel would rehash older comic franchises that they had, and usually with Chiller they'd usually take stories from the Tomb of Dracula, which was a 70s comic, and also another one called the Man-Thing. Now the Man-Thing, if you're not aware what that is, it's basically like the Swamp Thing. It's that sort of a character. It's a big green mutant thing that lives in a swamp. And to be quite honest with you, in my opinion, that was where the inspiration for Swamp Thing came from in the 1980s. So, anywho, enough me babbling. Let's see if I can hold the camera and take a look in here. There are some old bonus stories as well, but primarily Chiller was all not Swamp Thing, the Man-Thing. Sometimes you get some fantasy stories, and they'd always sort of start off with reprints of the Tomb of Dracula. Where are we? Which was done by Stan Lee, originally in the 70s. Yeah, reprinted for Chiller pocket format, 1980. So that's issue 3 of Chiller I got. I also got issue number 4. Yeah, the Tomb of Dracula and the Man-Thing. I also got, those are the last, or should I say, them are the only 2 early issues of Chiller that I was lucky enough to pick up. I also went and got a number 22. A little bit scuffy along the spine though, this one, but what do you expect after nearly 40 years? Death of the Vampire. I don't think so. I don't think Dracula's gonna die. Ever. These mere mortals know nothing. And I also got one which I recognise the story to. Back from the Grave. This is a Chiller pocketbook number 24. Back from the Grave. I remember this Dracula comic story because I had it. I think it was issue number 6 of the Tomb of Dracula, and we'll have a look at this one together. Basically, if I remember correctly, the story was something about some guy getting buried and not wanting to be buried or something, and he ended up coming back and attacking everyone. This skeleton chap, he swore he wouldn't die, return from the grave. There's his first victim. Ah! Dun dun dun. I tell you what, they certainly don't make horror comics like they did in the 70s and 80s anymore, which is a shame really, because we had some really good ones when I was growing up. Oop. Bear with me. Some really good battles between the monsters. Dracula there, and there's that skeleton guy. Smack. Proper proper Batman violence, pow, and all the rest of it. Sock. Oh, and just for the record, that creature there, that's the Man Thing, which is sort of like the forerunner of the Swamp Thing. Marvellous stuff. Let's take a look at the back. At the back of all of them, they're all advertising these Star Wars watches. Because obviously everything, the in thing really, when I was growing up, was Star Wars stuff. So you only £8.95. Wonder if the watch was any good. Probably not. But that's it, guys. I think I've done really well. You know, that's just basically a month of me, you know, collecting my comics, which is as you can tell with me, I was never really the type of kid to be interested so much in the superhero comics, although I did have them. I was much more of a Dracula-y type guy, or a fantasy. I used to like the fantasy stuffs, really, you know, the Conan things and all that type of stuff. So this is basically represents a month of my me getting my nostalgia fix. I think I've done really well. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of them, and if you collect any comics, let us know what you've got. And also, if there's any numbers here that I'm missing, because I'm going to try and collect all these Conans now. If you've got an issue number 4 or an issue number 7, you know, that'll be the first 8 of them that I've got in my collection, which would be great. And obviously for Chilla, which is a fair bit rarer to find, I'll just have to keep trawling around and see what I can pick up. But that's it for now. My name's Damien Jones, and if you haven't already, please subscribe, and I'll be back again very, very soon with another video of whatever I've been able to find, or pretty much anything that might be of interest that I care to share with you. Cheerio for now.